Start, sir.
Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about one of the course called as Python full stack development and using the framework called as Django. So it is an today's trend of developing web applications. For that we use Django framework, which is purely developed by using Python. So in order to learn the Python, or before jumping into the Django framework, we need to use the basic principles of Python. So in this session we will focus on what are the basic features of Python and all the preliminary requirements before entering into the Django framework. So next we will see what are the outlines of this session. So this session is mainly focused on how we can start working with the what exactly Python is all about, and how we design and develop, and what are the application domains, and what are the limitations of this particular Python. Even though it is having a application domains are various range, still it do have an limitations. And we also know in this session how we can use the Python in a different IDE versions, and we also focus on what are the data types and collections used during this course. So let me start with what are the features which we are about to work. So the features of this particular Python is basically it starts with open source. So many people know what is open source is not free. So open source means it requires so many community people has to collaborate and develop and complete working nature of a language or a package or a library. We call them as open source. So one of the advantage of Python is it's open source, and the next one is it is interpreter based, and as well as it is a high level language. So what is interpreter means, C language, which is starting language for everything. So C language requires compile based, that's why it takes lots of code. So lots of code and working nature, but Python is an interpreter based language, and it is high level language. That means we can write using our English kind of a language structure. And the another major feature is object orientedness of this particular Python. So Python, it looks simple, but as well as it is also supports the latest trends, or the today's trend of object oriented programming nature also. So Python is both we called as a high level language, interpreter based, as well as it is an object oriented programming also supported by this particular language. And the next one is it is an multi-threaded supported language. So what is multi-threaded means, nowadays applications and it requires so many processing time. Generally threads are the basic structure for processing any kind of a applications or any kind of a programs. So multi-threaded means parallel processing, parallel execution. These can be formulated by using multi-threaded nature of Python. And when we enter into the real-time applications, then we can understand what is the nature of multi-threaded nature of this particular feature that supports Python. That's the reason it's a nowadays trending language outside. And the next thing is wide range of application domains are there. So if you see YouTube, Instagram, Mozilla Firefox, Dropbox, if you name it, any applications, they are all built in by using Python only. So if you see especially our course of Django framework, it is also based on the what you call as web application like Instagram, as I said, Mozilla Quora. These are all dependent on our multi-threadedness and open source, and these are all comes under particular application domains. And if you see what are the application domains, so after knowing the features, we have to see what are the application domains that supports our Python language. Undoubtedly, if you see the first one, that is artificial intelligence, nowadays you can name any technology that requires underlying Python. Even artificial intelligence is no exception. And artificial intelligence, as you know, it do have a wide range of subdomains of machine learning, deep learning, neural networks, or natural language processing, computer vision. These are all comes under artificial intelligence, and yet these are all supported by our Python. We personally recommend that those who want to pursue their career, the Python is a mandatory. So and artificial intelligence applications are like, nowadays the trending thing is ChatGPT, that also decided or designed under the category of artificial intelligence and OpenAI, and it also requires Python. So now Python is not a what we call an option. It should be our mandatory thing to learn, irrespective of any kind of fields you have to select. Next one is data science. So recommendation systems, like what financial or even YouTube recommendations or any video recommendations, they all comes under data science. So some people thought that AI and data science are similar, so we don't enter into that topic now. So but data science also requires this particular Python. So Python is in everywhere nowadays, in every domain you can name it. And the next one, which is our core area, which we will discuss today, is on something called as web application development, where web domains. So the most popular one is Flask, Django frameworks. These are all also developed by using our Python. So most probably all the web frameworks which we develop nowadays are moving towards Python, and they developed by using Python. So undoubtedly web applications also comes under Python domain only. And the next one, next application, so next, previously we have seen something, what are the application domains, right? So now we will see what are the limitations. So before starting any technology or language, we should know the pros and cons. That means what we can do and what we cannot do during or by using that particular language. So some of limitations, I will not say it is not possible, but these are considerable limitations that makes Python an option. The first one is it is slow because of interpreterness, or compiler based languages are more faster than what we call as interpreter language. That is a basic principle. If you choose any language which is in compiler based, the applications on which we develop, it is faster when compared to the applications developed through interpreter. So undoubtedly Python applications are considerable slow. We will not call it as it is dead or it is slow enough, but considerably there is a small difference in running the application. And the next one is the huge libraries are all open source. So if you consider most of them are what you call as open source and collaborative mode, then obviously there is no owners. Suppose if you consider if everything is free, then automatically the people will start working on the same project again and again, and we may not have a ownership. That's the biggest problem with the what you call as Python, because the libraries which we create by using Python is open source and anybody can modify, anybody can update. So obviously it makes a lot of problem if you choose one of the library and you use it, and future it may be changed and you may not be noticed because of the huge set of people contributing to the library. And the another thing is there are so many difficulties, but limitations, I will not say difficulties, we will call it as considerable limitation, and it is not suitable for gaming. Again, we need to stress on a point, we cannot develop applications, no, I'm saying or we need to understand there is a not suitable for gaming. It doesn't mean that we cannot develop. So we can develop, but it's not that much adaptable for developing an application using Python. So and there is a very very important thing. If you see previous slide, there is a previous slide we have seen what are the application domains, and in that application domains we have seen something like a data science, right? So in that data science, so in that data science, if you see in machine learning also, in deep learning also, and even natural language processing, computer vision, if you name it, it requires so much mathematical and statistic information. So now move to the limitations, and if you see what are the limitations of Python is it doesn't have a testing and as well as a statistical approach for developing an application. So they are external libraries. We have one session on pandas and NumPy, and other things are also included in this course, so you can understand what is the nature of them. These are all external libraries, so automatically we should know these cannot be provided by the language itself. So one of the problem is its statistical packages are not inbuilt, that is a problem, and also testing is also not available by built-in, because every application requires design, develop and deployment. I will give you one notes after this PPT. We will write some of the points. So every design and development requires an important phase called as testing. That also not possible. Not possible in the nature of built-in characters is not present inside our Python. So this is also one of the disadvantage or limitations of Python. So in brief, we can say that we can do lot of things, but some of the things may not be suitable for using Python language. So we should understand in that manner, and we have to choose which way we have to choose and what are the things we have to work it out. And the next slide, the most important thing is the greatest thing called as package management system. So if you see, I'll give you one scenario so that you can understand in a better way. Suppose we have something called, so suppose we have something called as an software which is developed by using Windows, and it is using an Oracle 10 and using some Python framework called as Django, and which is version is 1. Consider 10, 1 and what you call as Django framework. So which we use this framework Oracle 10, Windows, and using Django framework 1. Suppose if we want to modify the project, if we get another project but that requires Oracle 11 and it requires some other version of Django framework called as 2, and it is running on Windows itself on the same machine, then what we can do? Do we uninstall Oracle 10? Then automatically the previous project may not work. If you consider Django framework upgradation, then the old version may not work. If you keep the same version, we cannot work with the new project. So how we tackle, it's just like in your system, very simply we can say you are using a PPT called as Microsoft PPT 2008. Suppose you want to install 2011, what you will do? You will uninstall the 2008 and you will install 2011. Is it possible to work with the both versions in the same machine? We may not be. But nowadays it is possible by using a concept called as package management system or virtual environment system. We have a hands-on experience in the next sessions or coming sessions, so that you can understand what is exactly the package management system will do, and also what are the various tools are available to create the version controls or virtual environments. We will see all those things in the next sessions, which is hands-on experience. So in Python, or in specific to the Python, we have something called as pip. We call as Python installer or package installer for programming with the Python. So that is called as pip, which is a by default we can get it whenever we install a Python. And the next one is we call as pip3, which is the after version of Python 2, which is a standard version. After that we will get to pip3, that is the next version. And we also we use a VENV, we call as virtual environment. We can also use pip ENV, which is a very latest trend. We have to use the today's scenario called as pip ENV, which is also very important, and which is a combination of both the packages of pip as well as VENV. So it is a where we can install or uninstall, update or modify the libraries, as well as we can also work with creating a virtual environment. So we have to use both by using pipenv package manager. Here I want to tell you once again what is pip means. Suppose you have Java, or we may come across with the C language, right? So in that hash include stdio.h, or in Java we use import java.io.star, or we call as asterisk. So in that, when we use the built-in things, we don't require any specific installations. Suppose if you required any Oracle or MySQL or MongoDB installations inside that project, then we need to use the jar files, which is generally we do, or we can do by using external packaging header file inclusion in C language also, like C++. So in terms of a Python, we use a one concept called as a program called as pip. What pip will do is it will fetch from the internet for the considerable packages or libraries which you required, and you can access them by using pip command. We'll see how the commands and what are the commands are available in the coming sessions. But pip is a program which makes you to run or install or uninstall such a programs, libraries into your application. Suppose you need an example, I will tell you Django. Django is not built in. So what we will do, we will install pip install Django. Then automatically it will be installed. We can use pip, pip3 or pip env. Then we can work with these kind of installation and uninstallations. Next slide, please. So any applications which required certain environment, because we cannot do everything by using by Notepad, because you may come across with the C language, we use a Turbo, we may use Java for Eclipse. Suppose if you are using Python, then what are the editors are available? So editors are nowadays called as IDEs. So what is IDE means? Integrated Development Environment. So what is that meaning is it's like a studio. Previously, if you take a picture, then you have to go to a certain studio and you have to make it develop all those things. Nowadays, we take the pictures inside the studio. So if you take the picture of a studio, that person will edit, modify color, contrast, all the things will be done, even the lamination kind of a thing or look and feel, everything is ready and it will be given to you. So what exactly in that context of IDEs also do the same thing. Writing a program is one task, compiling, debugging or interpreting into another language, in a machine language, and developing them. If there is any bugs, we need to fix them, and any suggestions we can provide them. All those provided inside a one kind of a environment called as IDEs. So what are the IDEs you can choose? And there is always lots of questions, or lots of people will ask faculty, or even they will search in a Google that I'm using ideally, can I do all kind of applications which we mentioned? Yes. Can we use PyCharm? I do have a PyCharm. Can I do it only with the PyCharm? Can I not be use VS Code? No. There is nothing like this IDE meant for this specific application. So you can do all kind of Python codes. Again, I'm stressing on the point. All kinds of applications can be developed by using a concept called as IDEs, and Python is exceptionally open source, which is the major advantage, which can be integrated to IDLE, which is a default in your left first row. That is IDLE, which is a built-in editor, and the next one is Spider, that is also one of the popular editor, and PyCharm. In our course, we entirely focus on PyCharm Community Edition. We will see what are the links are available, we will see them. And we also work with Anaconda, like a Jupyter notebook, and we also work with VS Code. Some of the students or some of the people already familiar with the VS Code. Is that possible to work with the VS Code for Python? Yes. There is no specific what you call IDE recommended for developing application, but as per our scenario is concerned, we will focus on PyCharm, because PyCharm is the community edition which we introduced in our course for working with our developing all kind of applications, especially our Django applications are also developed by using PyCharm. And stressing on the point, IDEs of your choice. It is all about which editor you are familiar or comfortable, you can choose. Some of the people may use a Sublime. Myself also use sometimes most of the projects on Sublime also. It doesn't mean that we have to use Jupyter instead of Sublime, or there is any specific rule for developing applications. So any kind of applications which we mentioned, artificial intelligence, neural networks, or natural language, anything can be developed by using these kind of editors, but they are meant for certain purpose also, right? So choose anything, but in our course we use PyCharm, right? Next one. So after going through what are the advantages, limitations, and everything, so what exactly most of the people start with PyCharm, I mean Python, with what are the data types. But we need to focus more on collections, because int, float, double, string, these are all there in the Python. But in order to work with our course, there may required, or mostly required, we required a concept called as collections. So for that, we have to go through some of the collections available inside our Python also. So these are all built-in collections which we can use. These are nothing but data structures in other languages like C or Java. Even Python do have a data structure. That's also very good way to learn Python and additional or advanced topics. So like queues, and you can use also user default queues and list, and all those things can be done by using a collection. So collections are exceptionally used when the concepts are like what machine learning or deep learning. Then we have to use the collections framework rather than stick on to the basic data types. So in brief, we need to go ahead and go through all those concepts, limitations and all which we discussed, and also applications. And in this note, I will tell you one more point, that One of the popular application domains are Instagrams, and which is most people do use, and YouTube, which we every day, every minute we will day starts with the YouTube or day ends with the Instagram. So we use all those applications are also developed by using Django, by using Python, and so there is no uh, chance of taking this as a lighter course, but it is a very good course to start and learn and build applications by using Python. So for your reference, next slide. So for your reference, we use next, yeah. So for your reference, we give this links to you, and if you click them one by one, we can get all those. We'll share this PPT also, so that you can get all the links, so that you can also download the latest versions. And one of them is, first one is, the most important thing is pypy.org or PYPI repository. So if you click on that one, under link PyPy repository, then it will give you a repository link. I recommend everyone to go through this particular website. All the libraries which are required for developing applications are found in this particular website only. So example Django, if you search inside that search bar, so just type Django, DJANGO, called as Django, not Django. So if you type and enter, then you will find what exactly it will do, what you can choose, and all the available documentation is also available. So you can get it all done by using this particular repository. It nothing but all the libraries which I said open source, right? So all the libraries which are built by using Python are stored inside this particular repository called as PYPI repository. What is that? Means a Python package installers. So PYPI so is the one kind of a repository where you can find all the libraries available which are built by using Python, right? We can move to our next thing, next link. So if we go to the right, so click on the second one, and we will get to know the latest version of Python is found by using this one we call as python.org, where the latest version is 3.11.3. So you can download Mac, Windows, it can be possible. You can choose anything which you require. So it is also possible. The next one, which is a software required for everyone. So you need to download according to your platform, like Windows, Linux, or even for your Mac. Based on it, you can download. The latest version is 3.11.3. And the third one is all about the course which we designed, is all about PyCharm. So if you see, there are two versions. All the people has to keep in mind that there are two versions are available. One is PyCharm Community Edition, PyCharm Professional Edition. Our education edition is also there, but you have to choose the community edition. Why? Because the professional edition requires some what you call a money related thing, because they provide more features than what the free. It doesn't mean that it is less. Only the thing is you will get a more by using professional. But as per our convenience, as highlighted, it is always recommended to, and it is recommended to download only the community edition, and it is a free also. It is open source, so there is no such rule that we can go ahead. So there is a open source and PyCharm community edition, which is very useful, and our course is also designed on this one. Now it's a IDE suitable for all kind of applications, right? And the next one, which link we will go ahead with applications, is if you need any kind of a applications which are another editor. Suppose, as I said, it's a preference, it's not any rule or any application. I personally use sometimes, most oftenly use this particular Sublime. It's a one kind of editor. You can choose this editor for developing or designing applications. So that's all another editor. It's just a flavor. So one flavor is PyCharm, one flavor is this one, right? Next. And most people always use nowadays a VS Code editor for developing web applications, and that web applications can also be done using VS Code also. So you can choose VS Code is also popular in developing especially Python applications. So you can choose either VS Code or PyCharm and all, and you can choose Windows for our application. So VS Code is also okay, and Sublime is also okay, and even PyCharm is okay. So in our course we will most focus on PyCharm Community Edition. Again, stressing on the point, it is a community edition. So with that note, get back to this. And with that, if you see, this is all about what are the prerequisite links required for developing our application. So that's it. Thank you for listening, and hope we have a happy coding in the next session. Thank you.